What's going on, good people? It's your boy King, and this is an episode of The Definition of Dope, where we really go behind the process. You know, there's beat makers, and then there's producers, but then there's producers. This individual is your favorite producer's favorite producers. Today's guest is a three-time Grammy Award winning, has sold over 600 million records worldwide, has various top 10 hits, has worked with acts like Boys II Men, Case, TLC, Monica, Bobby V, John B, Beyonce, and my personal favorite, the Isley Brothers, and various other artists. He is an instrumentalist, a producer, a songwriter, and a businessman. Tim Kelley from Tim and Bob.
You know what I'm saying? Shit.
Yo, man. Hey, man, that was a big intro, man. That must be a pretty big deal, huh?
Hey, man, I grew up on your music, man. So, yeah, you're a big deal.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
What's up, man, everybody? What's going on? Everybody, what's up?
So to get this thing moving, we're going to do like an icebreaker, and it's just like to start a conversation and just get the ball rolling.
Okay, cool.
What record from your childhood sparked something into you when you first heard it for the first time?
Dang, man. You know what? It's so many of them, man. But can I say two?
Yeah, you can say two.
Okay. From my earlier era, when my dad had bands, I probably have to say, let me see, what's that song from the Isley Brothers? Every night I pray. So that one. So that one, and then Sunshine from Alexander O'Neal, dog. When I heard
Sunshine,
dog, well, I remember the day. I remember the day my mom came home from work, and I remember it was raining too. So the album had a gang of rain on. I mean,
yeah.
So we had to clean off the album and all that stuff, man. And we put it on. And when me and my brother heard Sunshine, man, we was downstairs, man, to like about. It was a school night too, man. We was up to like about like 12:30, just crying, listening to it. Like, what the heck is that? And that's when I really realized when I went to sleep, try to go to sleep that night, I couldn't even go to sleep because I was like, you know what? I think that's what I want to do with my life, man. Because at first I was playing basketball, so that's all I thought about.
Okay.
After that song, man, and I looked on the back of the album, I was like, okay, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, okay. Dang, they did keys, they did drums, they did that. This, that, and they wrote it. Okay. So I was like, okay, that's how you got to be a producer. So, you know, man, that's why, wrote everything. Like all these songs that you was naming, I wrote them all, man. Me and Bob did because we thought like, and able to be a producer, you got to be able to play it and write it. So I learned that way, man, from the old school way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would have to say, man, dang, let me see it. Sensuality, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So sensuality at the beginning when I was young. So I was like, I heard that when I was like, I don't know, 5, 7 years old. And then Sunshine when I was in my mom's basement producing, man. That's what really made me want to produce right there. That one song.
You know what? You know what's crazy about the Sunshine and Alexander O'Neal?
What?
I got it on vinyl behind me.
Are you kidding, man?
Yeah, because you said I got a record wall that go.
Hey, yo, let me tell you something, man. A lot of youngsters don't know about that, man. But if they want to really, really learn producer 101, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's one of the best written, best produced. I mean,
yeah, I've sampled that song twice, man.
Hey, man, that's a record.
It just feels so good, man.
Don't it? That's a record, man.
That's what that.
Exactly.
I can't. Yeah. Oh man, it's like
yo, man.
And then the ad libs when it's ending, and then the da 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 at the end.
Man, that's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say, man? It's just like God was sitting in the room with them boys when they did that, man. That's a record, man. I'm telling you, man. Like, if you really, really like, if you want to, like, if you saying to yourself, like, I want to be a producer. If you don't want to listen to my stuff or like somebody else's stuff, if you want to really, really hear a good record where it's like got old and new, and it's like one of them records that gonna outlive us, you know what I'm saying? And it teaches you, man, like really how to do vocals and all that stuff. that's one of them records, man. That's a record, man, for real, man.
Nah, it does its job because it gives you a feeling,
Exactly.
And it's like,
so that's what that's what I always pray for, man, on all my records. Man, I was like, you know what? I hope I make records like this. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna outlive me, man. And it's gonna be my legacy, man, like years down the road, man. So then I start doing They Don't Know, So Into You.
Oh yeah, we gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. We gonna get into it.
Okay, cool. Okay.
We gonna get into it. So let's take it back a little bit. I know you're born and raised in Pierre. I can't pronounce it right, but Pierre, Illinois. And your father was a musician and he was a band. So like tell me like about young Tim around like 10 years old, like what you hearing, what's going on in the house musically, like what's influencing, even though I know you just told me about the records, you say he's like 5 or 7.
But what's crazy, man, is that so my dad had a band, they used to practice at 2 places. They had a practice facility. And then when I was getting worked on, he used to practice in our basement because our basement was long going not front to back, but sideways. It was really long, in Peoria. So they had, man, I'm telling you, it was like Earth, Wind, and Fire, man. They had like, like 2 drummers, like 2 guitar players, man. Like it was just crazy, man. So then he had another job. He used to cut hair with his brothers, right? So when he used to go do that, they used to leave all the instruments after they practiced downstairs.
Okay.
So I used to just jump on every instrument and just get on them, man. You know what I mean? And then I just started learning, guitar. And my uncle was playing in his band too, man. Rest his soul. He just passed away this year. Okay. But his name is Mike Lobdell. So he taught me how to play the guitar. And then Freddie did. This guy named Freddie Coates.
Okay.
So they taught me how to play guitar. So I was like, I don't know, 7 years old, man. I knew how to play like 9, 10 different instruments, man, by ear.
You're on your Prince vibes.
Man, it was crazy, man. It's like anything came on the radio, man, I can play it. Then my dad played the trumpet, believe it or not, out of all instruments. So I could play brass instruments and I could play like, guitar and bass and drums and all that stuff. So one day my dad came home and he was like, he snuck up on me, man. He was like, "What you doing, man?" Because I was playing his trumpet. He was like, "What you doing, man?" I started playing. He was like, "How you know how to play, man? Just by watching me?" I was like, "Yeah, man." And then, whatever came on the radio, I would put the radio on down here. And then when it came on, I just try to figure out what they doing.
What they doing?
He was like, "But you don't know the notes though?" I was like, "Nope." He was like, "You know what? Ain't no son of mine, man, gonna be like knowing how to play and not know what key you in and all that stuff." He was like, "I'm putting you in band, man." So he put me in band. I was the youngest dude in band, man. I was like, I don't know. I think I was like 6 years old. Everybody else was like 12, 13. My brother, man, was 2 or 3 years older than me. So I was like the youngest dude in band. I was like, man, I don't feel like doing this, man, because I was so much ahead of everybody, man, because I already knew it. Like it was like Drumline. Remember how Drumline, the movie Drumline, if somebody played it, I already knew it already by hearing it by ear. I was like that, man. Yeah. Like I already knew it if you played it, but I didn't know what key it was in. I ain't know no notes, nothing like that. So I had to learn all that stuff, man. So I was one of them dudes, man. It was weird. It was like I was a man, you could call me I was a little weird kid, man, because because, man, it's like I was like, man, a band geek. But I was playing basketball too. It was weird, man. That was like I was into sports, but I was into music. But like I was more into sports when I was younger than music, obviously. But I just knew, I just knew how to play the instruments, man. So that was me when I was younger, man. Just trying to figure it out, man. Which one is gonna be? You know what I'm saying? That's what it was.
So how old were you when you started producing?
When I started producing, I was like maybe like 12 or 13.
Same age.
Yeah, man. Oh,
yeah.
You too? Okay.
Yeah, I started like 11. My first time making a beat though, because I got a sister that sings. She's 10 years older than me. Yeah. I was probably like around 9 on the MPC 60 and a motif.
Oh,
and
wow, man.
And I was banging around that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's."
You know what? I must be a little older than you, man. Hey, man, you know what I started on, man? Believe it or not, man. 2 cassette players. What I would do is I'd play something on a cassette, and then I'll switch it over to the place where you can record at and
yeah.
play at, and then I will overdub over that, take the cassette, put it back over to the record. So I was using it as like a sequencer, man.
Sequencer.
MPCs wasn't out yet. You know what I mean? It was crazy, man. So yeah, this dude named Gerald Brooks taught me how to do that, man. Shout out to Gerald. What's up, Gerald?
So that
taught me how to do that, man.
So that was basically like your setup when you first started producing like the cassettes.
That was my setup, man. I had a keyboard, and then my mom had bought me a drum machine.
Okay.
And then I had 2 cassettes. So I just kept duping, man, with the cassettes, man. You know what I mean? And then it ended up sounding really like airy and stuff. But I was like, you know what? As long as I got the record, man, it's all good. You know what I mean? Because the more you do that, you was losing quality. You know what I mean? And then my mom ended up buying me a sequencer later on.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I started off like that, man. It was tripped out, man.
Gotcha. So you met Bob at a mall?
Man, I'm gonna tell you what was crazy. Okay, so I was with my boy, man. He was in a group that Bob was the piano player for, right?
Okay.
So but he was running around with me. So we would be going to like the young clubs and all this stuff, right? So he was telling me about Bob. Everybody was telling me about him, and then he finally was like, "Hey man, you got to meet this dude named Bob." And I'm telling you, man, he's so dope on a piano, right? So he kept telling me that, man, like for like years, man. You know what I mean? But I never saw him, but everybody was telling me about him. So we go to the mall one day, right? And then he looked down. He was like, "Hey man, there go Bob right there, man. Let's go, man." So when we went down the escalator, it was a music place right there. So when we went in there, Bob started playing. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I mean, man, he was doing some of the craziest jazz chords and all that. Because I didn't know jazz chords. I just knew like just regular chords.
Regular chords.
So yeah, because Bob, all he was listening to was commission. So that's why he knew all those, those tricky chords and all that stuff. And he played in church.
Okay, yeah.
So what happened? I'm gonna tell you what happened. What was crazy, man. So I told him my address, and I told him to come to my crib, man. I don't know why he didn't come, man. He never came, right? Now let's skip up maybe like 2 months later. So my aunt was doing his sister's hair, like both of his sisters, right? So I met his sister. So my dad's barbershop and my aunt, it was joined together. So when I come out my dad's barbershop, I just go over to my aunt's and then mess around and getting peanuts and all that stuff in there messing around, right? So I come in there and I see Bob's sister. I didn't even know it was a sister. So I was talking to her. I was like, yeah, I produce, I this and that. I was like, hey, you want to? She was like, you want to come check it out? So I was trying to talk to her because nobody could, talk to her. She was like, she was kind of mean, but not really. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, I'll come through there. So she got off work, came through, and then she heard the record. She was like, dang, man, you really good at this, man. So I was telling her my process and all that stuff. So then a horn was like honking. She was like, man, that's my brother, man. You know what? I got to go ahead and go because somebody had dropped her off. So she was like, I'm going to go ahead and go to the house. So I come outside, man, and I'm looking real good. I'm like, no, it ain't, man. I was like, is that Bob? So I said, that's your brother right there? She was like, yeah, that's my brother. So then so Bob got out, and I was like, what's up, dog? He's like, what up, man? I was like, hey, man, come here. You ain't came through yet. He was like, man, I don't know, man. I've been busy, man. I was like, oh, okay. So what I didn't know is it was because of the group. They used to always tour in different cities like St. Louis, or they go to Chicago and all the churches there. They go to Milwaukee, like, all the surrounding cities. Around Peoria. So I didn't know that. So when Bob came over, dog, do you know when he came downstairs, man? He was like, hey, man, I'll be right back. He came back with his keyboard, man. We was attached to the hip, man, for years after that. Put it this way, man, it got so crazy. I was picking him up from school when he was in 11th grade.
Dang.
And he stayed, and he went to school, man, on the whole other side of the city, man. So I'm picking him up, and then I told asked my mom and dad, could he stay with me, man? So they was like, you know what? They was like, we hear what y'all doing, man. My mom was like, if his mom says cool, then it's cool, because his mom and dad was gonna move to New York. So they were. So that's how my mom and his mom ended up getting really, really cool because
that's
when
dope.
they moved to New York, Bob didn't want to go. He wanted to stay with me, so he stayed in the basement. You know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. So I start telling him about the Isley Brothers and Prince and the Barge, and you know what I'm saying?
Cause he's just straight gospel, straight jazz at the time.
Yeah. Yep. He did
okay.
gospel and jazz. So he told me and showed me a lot of stuff on the keyboard because he knew jazz. So I started showing him some stuff about the R&B chords.
R&B stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, man, really, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they don't use more than like 2 or 3 chords, man. He was like, what? I was like, yeah. I start showing him some of my demos. He was like, dang, that sound dope, man. And I was like, you can't. I said, you don't listen to music, secular music? He was like, my mom won't let me, man. So he didn't know nothing about the Isley Brothers, nothing about the Empire. And I didn't know anything about commission and the Winans and all that. So we just traded back and forth, man. That's how we, ended up like well-rounded like we were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what's crazy is like, man, some of that commission stuff sound like R&B stuff.
Thank you, man, because they figured it out. You know why?
Yeah.
It's because commission figured it out. They was like, okay, all these, diminished chords and ninths and 11ths and all that. It's like nobody really, at the end of the day, nobody really care if you can do that. They just want to hear a dope song. You know what I'm saying? So they ain't tripping on how many chords, It's all about that's all about the record at the end of the day. That's why when they start doing I Am Here, Back to My First Love, all of them was sounding real R&B. And then when we did Boys and Men, that album right there, we was gonna get on that. I think we got one on there. But Sean and Wanye and they got some on there.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then we ended up getting real cool with Mitch, man, when we moved to Detroit. But we'll talk about that a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
So you moved to New Orleans for a year?
So I moved to New Orleans. I moved to St. Louis. Then we moved to Chicago because one of Bob's sisters moved to Chicago. So we moved to Chicago, and now it's really only like an hour, 2 hours from Peoria, because Peoria is like a suburb of Chicago. Really. Yeah, it's like Atlanta. How Atlanta got all those surrounding places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it take about if you want to go way out and it still be Atlanta, but be a different city. You know what I'm saying? So that's how Peoria is to Chicago.
Gotcha.
It's like only about like an hour and a half or 2 at the most, man, from there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so his sister moved there. So we moved there, then we moved to Detroit, and then that's where we met Commission and Mitch. We was playing basketball with Mitch every day, man. Shout out to Mitch. What up, boy?
Yeah.
My boy, man. So we ended up getting cool with them and the whole church scene.
The Winans and all that, Mario Winans and
all them, man. We start playing in their bands, man. It was crazy, Bobby. Yeah. So that's how we met Mario Winans, man. He came to the studio one day, the studio we was working at. He came to the studio, and that's when I first seen the MPC, man.
Oh, Mario.
Teddy had bought him one. Because remember, Teddy had did The Wine Is a Friend. Remember that? So that's when he bought that, man. So Mario had that, man, when he was like 14 years old, man. I was like, what is this?
Which one? Which MPC was it?
It was the MPC 60.
60.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The box looking one
the big boy, yeah.
Right. And then the MPC 62 came out after that. Yeah, so he had the first MPC 60, man. I was like, man, what the heck is this, man? So he started telling me, and I told the girl, I was like, the girl that was running the studio, so she was trying to get a production company going. I was like, you know what? I need one of them if you're gonna get me, if I'm gonna be able to really, really get down. You know what I'm saying? So she ended up buying one, and then that's how I ended up doing beats, man. So I ended up doing all the beats, man, because I got obsessed with the MPC, man. You know what I mean?
Because that joint monophonic, the 60 was monophonic sampling, right? It wasn't even doing stereo.
Exactly.
But it got that bottom to it though.
Got that bottom, dog. And then you know what? Then I got MPC 62, and then when I got that, that's when I really started. I got obsessed with it. And then I got that with the 1200, SP 1200. So I MIDI'd them, you know what I mean? Because I got that from Pete Rock and Premier. I told her that I need one of them too, you know what I mean? So I used to MIDI them together, man, you know what I mean? And then That's how I did my drums, man. I mean, my drums were sounding. Everybody thought, man, I was like, man, if you take all that music off, man, listen to them. Sound like hip hop records, man.
I was gonna say your Sonic at the time is getting beefed up now.
Getting beefed up crazy, man. It was like 91, 92. Then 93, man, I started really, because, you know, I knew so many records because my uncle, he was one of the biggest DJs in Milwaukee. And then my mom always used to buy albums. So I already knew where the break beats came from.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
So when they used to break down the breakbeat albums, I had those. Then I had where the breakbeats came from, the albums. So I had all that stuff, man. So
the textures were crazy.
That's why if you go back and listen to Monica, 112, all them, there's breakbeats in there. So if you strip everything off, man, it's a hip hop record.
Yeah, hip hop record. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So what we did is we just made sure it was like hip hop, but with some like smooth like chords over and all that. You know what I mean? So that's what the sound was back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, y'all end up moving to Atlanta and working at DARP and hooking up with Dallas Austin. How did you make that connection?
Man, it was crazy, man. Shout out to Paul Hill, man. So Paul, I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. So what happened was Randy Rand, that was signed to Jam and Lewis at first. I guess him and Dallas met some kind of way. So Dallas went and got them a whole bunch of work, man. And then one morning, man, he had a terrible accident and he got decapitated, man. He was coming from the studio one morning and fell asleep on the bike, on a motorcycle. And a semi hit him, man, and they had to have a closed casket on him, man. So Paul, he is from Detroit. So Randy Rand was from Detroit too. So he ended up taking his place. So Paul was like, hey, man, you know what? He was like, man, Dallas looking for some producers, man. And I was like, oh, yeah. So that's when we took the hoopty down there, man. You know what I mean? Ball tires and all. And we ended up staying with Paul. And then Paul was working at Dallas studio, but it wasn't all the way done yet. He only had the A and B room done. You know what I mean? So when we got in there, when Paul was like, hey, man, you know what? I got to leave, but I'm going to come back. So we was just there, you know what I mean? Just sleeping in the car. So we was trying to get up there to Dallas, man. They wouldn't let us in, man, until this dude named his partner named Dave. So Dave came out and they was having a party. So he was going to go do a liquor run, right? So we met Dave and we said, hey, man, you know what, man? Hey, we ain't trying to rob you. We ain't trying to nothing, man. We just two little dudes from Detroit, by way of Chicago, by way of Peoria. We just trying to, man, just make it. He was like, say, get in the truck, man. Hey, he let us get in the Jeep, not even knowing who we were. So we played the records, man, and he was like, don't play no slow joints. So we look at each other, we was like, don't play no slow joints. Are y'all? Hold on, man. Maybe y'all smoking something, man. We was like, so, cause we was taught on slow joints. That was really our strong. I mean, we could do anything, but like our strong point was slow joints.
Yeah.
So we didn't play him. We just played all the up tempo joints. And then he was like, yeah, man, Dallas gonna like y'all, man. He was like, man, he said, so come on in there with me. So we came in there. I don't know if you remember Arrested Development.
Yeah, Arrested Development, of course.
Yeah, they was there. TLC, like all the people from Detroit, from Atlanta was there. So we put our stuff in. They start dancing around. Dallas had a hoodie on and he wasn't saying nothing. He just he whispered in Dave's ear, and Dave was like, hey, yo, we weren't even Tim and Bob back then. He was like, yo, Bob, Tim. He was like, hey, go in this room right here. So we went in there, man, and then so they was taking a long time. So then me and Bob was like, hey, man, who you gonna call, man? If you know what I mean, if he say they don't like our stuff, man. I think because it was taking too long, you know what I mean? So we was like, so Bob was like, man, you know what? I can call my uncle, man, probably get 100. I was like, I could probably call my mom and get 60, man. So we just trying to figure out the way how we can get gas money to get back to the crib. You know what I'm saying? So Dallas walked in, took his hoodie off. He was like, hey, man, y'all two are the coldest dudes, man, that done walked up in the studio, man. So I'm like, where the trick camera at, man? Because mind you, man, we coming off the floor in Detroit.
Yeah.
And he's saying this to us. He was like, hey, man, I got Tevin Campbell. He started naming all these people he got, man. We was like, man, you got to be kidding, man.
Nah, because Dallas, At that time, he was the man.
Man, dog, let me tell you, man, Dallas, man, he had won Producer of the Year in Billboard that year. So that was 93. So he won Producer of the Year, Hot 100. He had like about like 7 songs. He had like 7 songs on the chart, man. It was crazy, man. So we was tripping. So he was like, I'm gonna go. He said, man, I gotta go to New York because I'm about to start my label division in New York, the East Coast of Rowdy. That was his label, Rowdy. It was like, I'll be back in about 2 weeks. He said, in the meantime, y'all take this little room right here and I'm gonna buy some. He said, tomorrow there'll be some equipment in this room right here. So he's like, hey, man, whatever, man, let's go. He was like, all right, cool. Shook our hand and walked away. And then I thought about it. I'm like, we're sleeping in our car, man. So I ran up to Dallas, right? I was like, I thought he was going to put us in a hotel, right? So I was like, hey, yo, D, man, we sleeping in our car, man. He was like, oh, yeah? He said, okay, man. He said, you know what? There's some bean bags over there, man. So, man, we slept on them bean bags, man, for about a month, man. We didn't even care, man, because, you know, like I said, we was like.
You ODing on the music, man.
Yeah, we came ODing on the music. We was like, man, we don't even care, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I ain't gonna get that much sleep anyway. Because I can't believe what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you doing what you want to do. Yeah,
dude, we didn't see daytime for like probably like 2 weeks. The 2 weeks he was in New York, we stayed in the studio, man. Yeah. So when he came back, we had like 40 or 50 records done. So he just picked them. He was like, all right, this. He said, y'all do this on Perfect Gentleman. Y'all do this on Shanice. Y'all do this on Johnny Gill. And then he just kept going on and on and on. And then he said, hey, man, I want y'all to start with Another Bad Creation first. He was like, because I don't want to do it. I want y'all to do it. So we was like, what?
So he basically giving y'all the playbook and just letting y'all just.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Hey, Dallas, man, I'm telling you, shout out to Dallas, man. He really got us popping, man. So, and then one day he came in when we was working on Another Bad Creation. He came in the room and he was like, hey, man, you know what, man? Y'all want to help me out, man, with TLC? We was like, what? We was like, what? He was like, man, I got to Get It Up, man, for the Poetic Justice soundtrack, man. He was like, so I know y'all love Jam and Lewis, man. So that come from that camp over there. Because Prince really did it, but it sounded like all of them. So I knew it backwards, man, Get It Up. So, you know what I mean? It was easy for me. And then he was like, hey, man, you know what, man? He was like, I don't know about. He said, man, I'm about to work on Boys II Men because Wanye came down and he was doing the backgrounds to ABC because they was getting a little older. So So instead of Deborah doing all the backgrounds, he wanted both of them to do the background. So we met Wanye, and Wanye told Gerald about me and Bob, Gerald Busby. So that's how he started managing us, and then one day he just called and was like, hey, man, you know what, man? He was like, man, how would y'all like to come to Philly, man, and work with Boys II Men? We was like, they just came off the end of the road. They was the biggest in the world. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Name anybody, man. They was bigger than them. So we like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, and I'm gonna talk about something else with y'all. So he ended up managing us, man, at the end. That's crazy. He started managing us, and then he got us on everything on Motown, man. It was crazy. It was a crazy time then, man. I'm telling you, man.
Hey,
it was really crazy.
From doing my research, even that period that y'all was at DARP was like a 3-4 year period.
Yeah.
Y'all, I mean, just y'all accolades at DARP alone is like,
we went. You know what? We went crazy, man. It was from 93 to 96 or 97, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The TLC stuff, the Boys II Men, developing Monica, like you say, discovering 112.
Right.
That
Destiny's Child. They came. Daryl Simmons, man. I'm gonna tell you, we was working over at the studio Doppler. I don't know if it's still.
Yeah. I remember. I know what Doppler. Well, it's not Doppler anymore, but yeah.
So he came over there. He said, "Hey, man."
And Buckhead.
He said, "Yeah, exactly." He was
right,
like,
Buckhead.
He was like, "I met these girls, man." He was like, "Man, you know I don't do up tempos, man. So I want y'all to do all the up tempos. I'm gonna do all the slow ones." We was like, "All right." So we come to the studio the next day, man, and we had a couple songs for him. So we were showing them the songs. So we didn't know who sung what. We didn't even know. So Beyonce would always go into the booth and all of them be in the back just talking about boys, man. They were scared, man. They didn't even want to sing when Beyonce sang. That's how ahead she was, man. Like she
Oh,
was only 12 years old singing like she's singing right now.
that's
Believe it or
crazy.
not. At 12, dog.
That's
So
crazy.
we did all the up tempos, and then we did about like 2 slow joints. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And then what happened was maybe about like 2 of them ended up on that first album. So we ended up giving helping getting a deal because we only knew one A&R, and that was Randy Jackson. He was over at Columbia. Yeah. So he's like, man, and we had 112. So their name was Forte at first when we put them together at first.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, the guys is okay, man. He was like, they need a little work, man. But these girls, man, man. So he's like, y'all, you dig them? And he was like, yeah, man. He said, y'all want to do a showcase? He's like, yeah. So he's like, set it up. So we told Matthew, man, Beyonce's dad, and we all went to New York, man. And we started the first song. And then when we start going to the second song, they just cut us off, shut the doors. They wanted to do a deal right there. That's how they got their deal, man.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's crazy, huh?
That's crazy. That's crazy,
man. Yeah.
So
I know. So you know, man, Beyonce, what? They say she's the artist of the millennium right now, the 21st century or something like that. And Billboard. So I'm glad that I'm a part of her life, man, like that, man, because I can really say that, you know, I attribute to helping her, you know, find her sound and find her sound, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a big accomplishment, man. I feel for me, man. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I see also when you was at DARP, you know, you guys got to do stuff for like movies, like movie soundtracks, like How to Be a Player, Players Club, Poetic Justice, Wild Wild West, Nutty Professor, and the Clumps. Like, how was that process?
You know what, man? What was crazy, man, was so Atlanta was just kind of blowing up because LaFace was there, and Dallas had Rowdy, and then Jermaine Dupri. So those was the only labels that was really big. So if you wanted to meet some other A&R, you had to fly out to New York or fly to California. So we met A&R. So we met A&Rs in California, met A&Rs in New York, and so every time we came out to California, New York, man, we met somebody that was doing the soundtrack. They was like, hey, man, you know what? I'm doing this, man. Y'all want to get on it? Hey, we doing this. We doing Player Club, man. Y'all want to get on it? We y'all doing such and such. You know what I mean? So that's what happened, man. So one thing just kept leading to another, man, because we kept bumping into people because they knew who we were from, you know, being signed to Dallas and doing Boys and Men and Madonna. We did Madonna. We did, let me see what else. We did really big acts, man. So they knew who we were then. You know what I mean? And then we was getting right ups and vibe and all the music stuff. So everybody was like, yo, man, y'all want to get on this? Y'all want to get on that? We was like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So Get It Up from TLC, the Poetic Justice. That was the first single. That was our first #1 single, man, right there.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
And I was telling a friend of mine, like, you know, that part of music is gone. Like, they don't make good movies no more that had the soundtracks, because like even when they made the music video, they would take like little pieces of the movie and put it in the music video. And
man,
all that
ain't that
crazy,
stuff. Man? You know what it is? You know what it is, man? Next year, it's about to start all over again because I'm working on something right now with Eric. It's Eric White. Eric White did a Slow Down video.
Okay.
So he did he the one that did let me see, Lottery Ticket with Lil Bow Wow.
Lil Bow Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so we did all that whole movie score and soundtrack.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, man. So he doing like about 2 or 3 new movies next year. So I'm about to do, you know, the soundtracks and the movie scores of that. So it's gonna start up again. Then Ice Cube coming back. So it's about to come back, man. You know what I mean? Because it's just it's a slow process, man. Because you know, when it all disappeared, it just like everything disappeared. You know what I mean? It's like no black movies no more. Where it's like all black cast and all that. It's like it just bounced, man.
Yeah.
It was like, but man, back in that day, man, back in the day, like in like 93, 94.
Yeah.
Man, it was so you can name, but I don't know, man, like every week, man, an all black movie was coming out, man.
From probably because I'm born in 93. Because I'm born in 93, but I say like at least till I was in middle school. So you talking about like 05, like that was that era in that time. Like black cinema with the music and the soundtracks, and then you had 106 in Park, so you would see the videos on there and all that stuff. But of course, now that element that's gone.
Man, it's gone right now, man. But you know what? I will say this, man. It's gonna come back. It's just taking a little time, and because all the guys that was doing all those movies, like the Hudlin Brothers, Ice Cube, Eric, and all them. Eric, matter of fact, Eric's cousin that did Belly, what's his name? Hype Williams, yeah.
Hype Williams.
So all them, they all coming back with some movies next year, man. Like you know what I mean, so. It's coming back, man.
Yeah, nah, that's a real void.
It's just like R&B, man. Like right now, R&B ain't really like it used to be. Like the number one go-to, crossover. You know what I'm saying? Music. It was R&B. Back when Boyz II Men and Jodeci and all them, they all end up crossing to the Hot 100. Now it ain't going on, so it's like we got to make the playing field even again. That's all it is, man. And it's like ain't nothing wrong with trap, you know what I mean? But it's like, we just got to make the playing field even again, man, so we can go ahead and make R&B, man, the way it used to be, man. So it's a certain way you got to do it, man. That's what it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can't have them like doing a gang of ad-libs and ad-libbing through the whole song. You know what I mean? It's like you got to go back to the way we used to produce, man. So that's what I'm gonna do, man, this year coming up, man.
Yeah.
So 2026 gonna be a change, man, for real.
Yeah, nah, fact.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Fact.
So you guys leave DARP and you guys start the Capitol. I call it the Capitol Records era, and go to LA. So how did you guys end up in LA?
Yeah, so what happened was DreamWorks. So they had a publishing company, right? And then they was just starting a label division too. They didn't have the R&B division yet. So what we did is I just called them and I just told them that we don't have a publishing deal. So they flew us in and they gave us a publishing deal. And I was like, y'all trying to start a label? And they was like, yeah. They was like, we already got a pop label. And I was like, really? It was like, yeah. So they had this white group called Power Man 5000, and then they was looking at these other pop artists too, Papa Roach, Alien Ant Farm, Lifehouse. So we ended up getting on all them records, man, because they didn't even know that we knew how to do pop records. We was like, yeah, we grew up in the Midwest. That's all we hear in the radio station. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we know how to do, rock music and pop music, man. You know what I mean? Nelly Furtado, all that stuff. So we told them, we was like, hey, man, y'all know who y'all need to go get, man? Gerald Busby. You know what I mean? So we told them that and we left it alone, man. We didn't say nothing. And all of a sudden, man, we came in one day and Gerald was there, man. We was bugging out, man. We was like, dang, they listened to us. That's crazy. I ain't saying we the reason why he got signed.
Yeah. But y'all planted the seed.
Yeah.
Y'all planted the seed.
Yeah, and Mike and Mo's had Mike Austin and Mo Austin. And then they ended up getting Gerald there. And then that's when everybody came. Dave Hollister, Tamar, Braxton, let me see, all them other people that they had, man. They had a slew of people, man.
That's crazy. So what was your first record that y'all put out on DreamWorks?
The first one, Tamar. We worked on. Yep. So Tamar, then Dave Hollister after that. And then let me see who else after that. After that, we did another girl named Kanela Cox. You know what? Her album, you can find her whole album on YouTube if the listeners out there want to check it out. It's a dope album, man. Okay. Rodney on there. Rodney did about like 3 or 4 for us. And then we ended up doing like 2 or 3. So the whole album, man, it sounds clear as a bell too, man. So you can get it on YouTube. Her name is Kanela Cox.
Kanela Cox, I got you.
She never came on.
Oh, that's crazy. So when did you guys do the John B?
So what happened in between us doing when we did Tamar and some other stuff we did, Def Jam came to us with a label deal proposition, right? So while we was doing that, our business manager, he was like, hey man, you know what? You know the Face, man, they got a division over here in the West, man. They was like, and they signed some artists, man. So I want y'all to work on the first artist they got, man. They got this white dude, man, named John B. And it's like, y'all remember Someone to Love that Babyface did on him, man? And we was like, yeah, that was dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I don't know why that ain't go #1, man. That was #1 record to me. And they was like, yeah, and then because he was brand new or whatever. Then so y'all need to come up with something. I'm gonna get them down here tomorrow, man. I was like, okay. So what happened was we did a record that night. We went to the crib and then we came back early and we did a couple more records just in case he wanted to do an up tempo first or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So when he walked in, we was still putting some finishing touches on They Don't Know. So John was like, "What's that?" So we was like, "That's for you, man." So man, he took his jacket off and went straight in the booth, man, and we just wrote it right from there, man. We just bouncing back and forth. We didn't write nothing down, not a single lyric, man. We did the whole record just like heard about my past because he was going da 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 da.
So he came over the top line.
Yeah, he came up with the melody, and then I start saying some words, and then he starts saying some words. Then Bob will say something, and then he'll say something. Then I'll say something. So we wrote the whole record like that, man.
How long do you think it took y'all?
Took us about 10 minutes, man. It was done. We was going to an up tempo. So that other record that's on there, Bad Girl, we went to that, man, that same night. And then we finished that the next day. And then he went back to California, man.
Man,
we had 2 records.
Do you not know the impact of that song?
Man, you know what, man? Hey, we just, you know what? Back then, we just doing records. We was young, so we didn't know, man. We just doing records, man, hoping that we get one to land on the album, man. We weren't even thinking first single, #1, this and that. But you know what? When it went #1, then when it went double platinum, we was like, you know what, man? This is crazy right here, man. Like we can actually, if we follow what we did on They Don't Know, because that was, I ain't gonna even lie, man. Like that was from LA, man. Because LA was telling us, y'all making people, man, do too many ad libs, man, and y'all doing too many chords in y'all records, man. Y'all need to kind of pull back a little bit. So the first one we did that on is They Don't Know. Then
really?
Then when we did They Don't Know, we did So Into You. And then we produced them both the same way. You know what I mean? And so I remember Quincy, man, Quincy Jones, rest in peace, man. Quincy used to come in and he used to be like, hey, man. He said, hey, come outside for a second, man. So we go in the back alley of a studio, right? He'd be like, hey, man, you know what, man? No, this was the second day because he came back and I was in there like early in the morning. He came in there and he was like, dang, what time you get here? I said, about like 4 a.m. He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. He was like, you know what, man? He was like, man, y'all gonna make it. He said, man, y'all gonna be really, really big, man. I was like, why? He's like, because you care too much, man. I was like, in my mind, I'm sitting there twisting the knobs, man. I'm like, what that mean? Care too much. But you know what it was like he was saying, like, you can never, it's just like your kid. You can never care and love your kid too much. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no measurement where you say, I love my kid this much. You know what I mean? Or this much. It's unlimited how much you love your kid. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's you'll do anything for them. It's the same thing with records. It's like when you love your production so much, there's nothing that you would do to make sure it's perfect in your eyes and in your ears. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I think what he was getting at. So he was like, so after he said that, he had me come outside. So I was talking to him and he was like, hey man, I'll catch y'all later, man. And then he started walking down the street. He was like, and then we was like, where you going, man? He was like, oh, man. He was like, my driver right here, but I don't drive, man. He just got in the limo and took off, but he didn't even know how to drive. Did you know he didn't even know how to drive, man?
No, I didn't know that.
No lie, man. Ask anybody that know him, man. And they're going to tell you, man, he did not know how to drive a car, man.
That's crazy.
He had a driver, man. So
that's crazy and hard at the same time, though.
Yeah, so from that record on, he used to call us every day, man, like giving us like little bitty tidbits and all that. But before his label, before he shut it down, So Into You was the last biggest hit. It was the last one.
Wow.
Yeah. So that made me feel good, man, that, man, like I gave one of my, he was like one of my heroes back in the day. With Brothers Johnson, all that stuff he was doing, that Brothers Johnson, his albums, man, Body Heat, all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and it'd be so crazy because like now I say the newer producers, but I'm just talking about like the generation, you know, like they be like, yeah, you know, I don't play that, and I just be Quincy Jones, and I'll be like, bro, don't. He's like Michael Jordan times 10. Like we don't even speak of his name. Like, no, bro, like just the
Quincy,
periods from the Frank Sinatra stuff to, like you say, the Brothers Johnson,
Tevin Campbell,
man, the
it
Wiz.
goes on and on, man.
Look, the Wiz, like
the Wiz with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson.
Man,
yeah.
So what I do that he did for Nipsey Russell on that joint, man, with that them horns that look like dog, like.
Hey man, Quincy. Look, man. Let me tell you something, man. Quincy knew how to write sheet music. Like I know how to write sheet music out too, but I mean I ain't no Quincy. Quincy can write string arrangements, man, trumpet arrangements, drums, piano. He knew how to play them all, man. But he rather have people come in and you know what I mean and play.
And you talking about writing it down on paper and then like you tell people like, hey, you know, a horn.
But he'd be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Play this.
And when you tell them like a horn is written in this key and this instrument is written in this key, and you still have to be able to process that and to write that down.
That dude was unbelievable, man. I'm telling you, man. He was unreal, man.
Yeah, no.
So it was an honor, man, to give him his last big hit record, man. So Into You, you know what I mean? That really felt good, made me feel good. So when he passed away earlier this year, man, I was like, you know what, man? That really made me feel good that, you know, when he shut his label down, I got the last song on there, man. So, you know what I mean? That made me feel good about that, man. I think I wrote about it on my Instagram, man. Yeah.
You did.
That really felt special, man, because that was a special part of me, man, right there when we gave him his last hit record. You know what I'm saying?
And y'all gave him a classic, though. Like,
yeah, it's still doing good, man. It's crazy.
And then got redone by Fab.
Thank you. So, you know what I mean? It's still doing good, man. It's crazy.
That's dope.
Yeah, man. That's dope. That's like one of our biggest. Matter of fact, I think that's one of our biggest performer ones on BMI, man.
Oh wow.
Like, so when they send a check every 3 months, when you can look at it, it's like it's either 2 or 3 every time.
Man, that's hard.
No, 1, 2, or 3. Matter of fact.
That's hard. That's
crazy,
hard.
Man. So that record gonna outlive me and you, man. That joint is crazy, man.
Nah, man.
But
it goes back to what you said in the beginning when I asked you the icebreaker question about you saying like the Sunshine record, like you know you wanted that's what you wanted to make,
right?
And you end up making that like 100 times over.
You know, man. Hey, you know what, man? It's like I didn't know, you know, man. I didn't know I was doing that, man. I just didn't know. I was too young, man. But I was just taking LA's advice, man. You know what I mean? And then when I was listening to what LA was saying, like he was like, man, look, man, have all them ad libs, man. Have them, man. He said, man, when you go in the studio, you got to put your foot down and tell them, man, look, save these ad libs for the stage, man. If you want to make a hit record, you know what I'm saying? You got to think about pop music and think about what they do. If you think about pop music, like let's say Madonna, Get Into the Groove. Get into the groove, boy. You got shit. You think about that, it ain't one ad lib in that song. She just singing it all the way down. You know what I'm saying? And if you think about we can go on and on pop records, man. That's what they do because they don't know how to ad lib, so they just sing the song. You know what I mean? So they just sing the hook just straight. You know what I mean? So LA used to be like, hey man, you know what? Me and Babyface, we started to say, man, it's a sin to ad lib, especially on the first hook. It's a sin to ad lib on that. So I took that to heart, man, and that's what I did with They Don't Know and So Into You, man. That's why those songs are so big. And Missing You from Case, I tried.
We gonna get into that. We gonna get into that. Yeah. But nah, it's crazy that you say that because like that's my approach with music. Like I don't like hearing too much ad lib, whatever, because I want to hear what you're saying. Tell me the story, and you know, like when you have all that ad lib and trickery, like to me it'd be trickery, like trying to not get you to focus on that lead because that lead ain't that strong.
Exactly, man. It's like when you start doing a gang of ad libs, man. It's just like if you gave somebody some instructions to get to your crib and they ain't never been to your crib before, and you telling them, all right, man, you get on this highway, now you're gonna see a pothole right here, go around that, and then make a left, and then you're gonna see a detour, then you're gonna make a right, and then just give them basic instructions, man, on how to get to your crib. They'll figure all that out as they go. You know what I'm saying? Like if they see a pothole, they know to go around it. If they see a detour, they know how to go around it. It's like just give them straight instructions. It's the same thing when you produce them, man. It's like when you're doing the hook, give it to me raw, man. I want to hear what the song is about. I don't want to hear. I don't care if you ad lib it and you know how to ad lib it good for you. But at the end of the day, that's covering up what the main thing is. It's the melody. It's like if you singing over the melody on the first one, you can't really identify what the record gonna be. Because if you think about it, man, young kids, man, like my daughter, for instance, man, like some of my records, man, when she say, "Daddy," she's like, "I really like when you did this," and I go back and listen to it. I'm like, you know what? She always sing the melody first, man. You know what I mean? So that's what it really is. You got to know a good melody to the verse, and then a melody to the hook. And then Jam and Lewis and them always told us, man, it was like, you know what? It was like, you need to make every part like it's a hook. You know what I mean? Like, make the verse sound like it's a hook, make the pre-chorus sound like it's a hook, and then make the hook sound like it's a hook. So when they said that, man, that it took me like about a week to process that, man. So I did that on So Into You. Like, every time that I'm there, that could have been a hook. The verse. Then I think you're truly something special. That was a pre-chorus, but it sounded like a hook. Then I really like what you. That could have been that's the hook. So you make every part of the record special, man, like it's hook. You know what I mean? That's what makes a hit record, man.
Yeah, because it's easy to sing along.
There
and
it
it's
is.
memorable. Okay.
That's what it is, man. That's what
got you.
You know what I'm saying? You want them, man. When that record go off, you want them, man. You want them saying something about the record, like
something about the record. Yeah,
they know something about it, man. Either the verse or the pre-chorus or the hook. You know what I mean? So so that's what I try to do, man. And I just I just took some little tidbits, man, from LA, man, and Babyface and Quincy Jones and Jam and Lewis, man, and ran with it,
ran with it.
And that's how we ended up getting, records that, did pretty good, man, for us, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit. You do the Thong Song for Cisco. Can't brush over that.
Oh man, for a second I forgot about that one, man. Do you know, man, we almost beat Thriller, man. Okay, so Thriller was number one. I think if I can remember, Thriller was number one in 33 countries for 2 months. Right? We was number one in 32 countries for 2 months. They beat us by a country, man, for 2 months. If we had 2 more countries, we'd have been bigger than Thriller, dog. Can you believe that? That was how big that Thong Song was, man. Still to this day, it's the biggest song in Def Jam, man. It still is to this day, man. For real.
That's wild. Did you know that was gonna be that big when you was crafting it?
Nah, man. No way. You can't predict that, man. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of them things where you just do it, and then I took this from Quincy too. Quincy used to be like, he'd be like, do the record and then leave. He said, go to 80% and then leave it alone and have 20% have God come and step in the room and finish.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, have God come step in the room.
So it's like you got to leave some room for God to come in there and bless it and touch it, man. So I think that's what some of these records that we're talking about, that's what happened, is like we didn't finish it that night. God came in and did his thing on there. You know what I mean? And they did what they did. That's the only way I can explain it, man, because it's like, I didn't know they was going to do that. Like, Thong Song, think about it, man. That's talking about some panties, man. Like, how did they?
But the beat is different, though. The beat is different.
You know what? I ain't gonna even lie, man. It's different because we had just came back from London, right? Because we had artists in London. So we had just came back from London, and he took us to a couple clubs. So everything was going like doing that, right? So you know what I mean, it was going 120, but everything, you know, back then, if you wanted to get on the radio, was 95. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this to see what happens, man. So when I did it, man, I did the track. I was like, man, ain't nobody gonna like this, man, but Mike, man. I was like, let me save it for when we go, because I knew we was gonna go to we was coming to California to work on the Invincible album. So I saved that actually for Mike. And then Cisco came over to DreamWorks, and he heard the track, and he got on a plane and called me. He was like, hey, dog, hey, man, if you let me get that track, man, he was like, man, when I land, I'll just get on another plane and just come right back to California tonight. Dog, we was like, all right, cool, man, because he kept saying he wanted it, and we was like, nah. I'm like, nah, man, because we're going to do this on Mike tomorrow. So he told us, he was like, if you let me buy that, he called us from the plane. He said, man, if you let me buy that, he said, I'll get on another plane and come back to California tonight, and I'll get the studio time. Do you know he actually did that, man, when I did it?
Yeah.
It was crazy, man. So it's like, man, a lot of stuff, man, like just, it was some weird stuff that just happened, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew it was like you said, I knew it was going to do something, but I didn't know it was going to do that.
That, yeah.
Man. You can't predict that, man. It's just, you can't do it.
Yeah, nah.
You can't. It's just like right now, man. With the weather is in music right now, man. You can't predict none of this stuff, man.
Nah.
Because everything is everywhere right now, man. You know what I mean? It's like, what's this song? Okay, this song sound like that song. This song. So is it gonna do anything, man? Because this song didn't do anything. So then, if that ended up doing something, man, you'd be like, wow. You know what I mean? That was a blessing because everybody uses an 808 drum, so it's only like what? In 808 drums, it's only like 3 or 4 drums you use: the kick, the snare, the hat, and then the cymbal, then the 808. So that's what, 5 or 6 drums you use. So it's like, it's hard to really pick. That's why, man. You know what? I don't even care, man. I just do music, man. You know what I mean? I use 808 drums, man, but I try not to repeat it over and over, man, because I'm like, man, there's so much more to do, man, than just 808 sounding.
Yeah.
You know, 808 sounding records, man, all the time, man. It's like, you can get so much more creative, man. And the problem is, don't be scared, man. Just give it a try, man, and give it a shot. You never know, man. It's like, it might do something, man. Because think about Taylor Swift. Think about Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Look how much they switch up, man. Like Beyonce did a country album, you know what I mean, and on, electronic album, all that, man. And then Taylor Swift just be doing records, man. And she a billionaire off of just doing good records, man.
Yeah. But,
you know what I mean?
But see, the thing is, though, people are not like artists. Like, they can't experiment and do, you know, other genres of music. Like, majority of people now that's popping, they're not even real musicians or real artists.
Yeah, you got a point. Yeah, you got a point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like for yourself, like, you evolve, you keep chasing after something, like, you know,
right.
keep changing and experimenting and get inspired. Like, man, majority of these folks now, like, they probably started doing music 2 years ago.
Right. And
you
then
know,
they just then they get like 10 people that they know that can play some instruments, and then they just probably halfway make the beat, have somebody else finish the beat, and then have
we not
some
even
other musicians just play it, and then because that be that. You know
because what they call it, the loop thing is going crazy. You know how, like, we'll dig for samples and, you know, try to truncate it, chop it up, you know, replay stuff or replay the sample and stuff like that. Whereas they'll get some young kid in Denver or Denmark to send them a loop pack that he probably didn't even make himself. And
that's why, you know what? That's why the music is like what I just said, man. It's like everything sounds the same because everybody got the same drum packs. Everybody, you know what I mean, trying to copy what this dude did. It's like, man, it's so much music that then came out, man, original, man. You could do the same thing. You know what I mean? Why we ain't where the originality go, man? It's like it just went out the door, man. It's like I'm still trying, man. You know what? Every time, man, I use different drums every time on everything. I never use the same drums, man. Never.
Yeah.
All think about it. All them records that, man, you was talking about that you were saying that I did. Go back in your mind, man. I did ain't none of the drums sound the same.
Oh no, I know. Let me tell you, I've been blasting you for like the past week since we talked, so I could be sharp. And man, like especially like we'll get into it in a second, but like the Bobby Valentino stuff, like man, like all the ethnic drums, like the way y'all were stacking sticks and like the African kicks with the ethnic kicks and the congas and like making the conga sound like kicks and stuff like that. It's like oh, yeah. I was in y'all bag.
That was you know what? That I ain't gonna even lie, man. I did drum programming, so that was me at the crib, man. Just because I didn't have all my keyboards at the crib, so I was minimalistic, man. So I just had my drum machine, man. So I was just trying a gang of stuff, man. I ain't gonna even lie. And back then, that's when it was a lot of Asian movies came out. So I would go to the movies, and then when I hear a song, I'm like, wait a minute, man, hold on, dog. I didn't even finish the movie. I would go get the soundtrack and go straight to the crib and make the song. That's how I did what Slow Down and Tell Me. Matter of fact, I did the beats, man. I could press play. You know what, dog? Because we're gonna have to have that a part 2 because it's too much to talk about. I could press play on my MPC 3000, man. All them joints, man, like Slow Down, Tell Me, used to be My Girl, Brian McKnight, Downhill Jones. If I could just press play and the whole song will play, except for the guitar that Bob played.
So for all them records, you on the 3000?
On the 3000 on all of them.
Yeah,
all
man.
them records.
I got a 3000. I got a custom one behind me, man. I love that machine, man.
Man.
That joint different, man. Like from the sonic to the groove.
That I was gonna say that, man. You know what it is because that's one of the last ones that Roger Lynn put his name on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it sound different than a lot of the other ones. Mm-hmm. Even though I got all of them, man. Like every one that he made, I got them. But 3000, man, is a little different, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
it's just different, man. You can't. You can't quite explain it. It just sound different, man. It's got a different sound to it. Because you could do so much stuff with it, man. You could truncate it, man. You can like if a kick got a lot of highs in it, you can mess. It's like you could do a lot of stuff right there inside the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you mix it down, you can already you can leave it like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I used to mix all my stuff too because I went to engineering school. So what I used to do is if the way I wanted the record to sound, I would mess with it in the 3000 already make it sound like that. So when I mix it, it's already there already. How I want it to sound. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So all I was doing was I was just like mixing my roughs, man. You know what I mean? Making my rough sound good, man. You know what I mean? That's what I was doing back then, man.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
That 3000, that's him.
That 3000 different, boy. That's a different.
That's him.
Got some different juice in that thing, man. It really do, man.
Yeah, nah.
And then you know what? The 2000 ain't bad either. 2000 XL, man.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I started out on. I had a 2000 XL when I was 12.
Yeah.
I started out on that joint. That was nice.
That's what Kanye used, man. He from Chicago too, so he used that, man. Yep. He started with a 2000.
The only knock on the 3000 is, but it made me better because you can't see the waveforms. I had to learn to count with my ears instead of my eyes, so I became very like anal, like in hearing stuff. Like, nah, I can back it up some when you truncating. Or I can get that tail in a little sharper, or what have you. But once you get past that, you cool.
Hey, you know what? The 3000 is the same way, man. You couldn't see the waveform; it was just numbers, man.
Yeah.
You had to just guess on what the numbers was gonna do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when you got it, man. You had to just keep hitting it and messing with the numbers because it wasn't no waveforms. You couldn't.
Ain't no waves on that 3.
But you didn't care though, man, because it was like,
Mm-mm.
you just cared a lot about the sound. So you didn't, you wasn't really thinking like, I got to do a little extra work, man. Like now, when you think about it now, with the waveforms now, when you can see when something hit, it go up or do
Mm-hmm.
whatever it do. So like, okay, that's the beginning of the kick right there. Let me scoot this up. Like it wasn't that you had to dial in on it and really, really work. But it was
Mm-hmm.
all good though. You were just trying to get the perfect sound,
Hey,
man.
facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts. So let's
So
speed
yeah,
up. Let's speed up a little bit to the case missing you, which is like one of my favorite records. How did that become about?
man, it's crazy, man. Do you know, man? How about Joe?
Yeah.
So Joe did the version first. How about his came out in London, like in Great Britain overseas. It went
Mm-hmm.
number 1 over there, and Case version went number 1 over here. So right now, to this day,
So it's two
Joe got
versions of that song.
there's 2 versions of it. Yeah.
That
So I did. So we put more stuff in the one with Case because we had more time and we had, we had time to sit with him more, and so
mm-hmm.
I added more to the record, But we made it real kind of like minimalistic with Joe because we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to go to the next record, So
Mm-hmm.
with Case, when he came in, we just added some more stuff to it, man. And made it what it is. But yeah, man, JoJo Brims, man, he's that's working with 300 right now. He used
Yeah,
to work
yeah,
for
yeah.
he was the A&R in Def Jam. So what happened was he told us that he wanted us to do something on Case. So we was like, we love him, man, because that Touch Me Tease Me record was dope. So we
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, and then we do Kenny Smooth too, because Kenny had Case signed. So he was like, hey man, y'all got to do some records for me, man. So he had told us too. So then when JoJo came down, I was trying to. So what happened when Dats was out back then? I don't know if you remember those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, Joe's version of "Missing You" was on at the beginning. So when I pressed
Mm-hmm.
play, it came on. Then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute." Then I fast forward. He was like, "Wait, what's that?" It was the same thing what happened with Thong Song, man. It was like, "What's that? Go back to that." And then I played it. And he was like, "Hey, yo, man, that's the first one I want Case to do, man." I was like, "Okay." And then I think Joe's manager, he said he didn't want it back then. So
Mm-hmm.
then when he heard it on Nutty Professor soundtrack, he was like, "Man, why y'all give Case the record, man?" We was like, "You said you didn't want it." Man, that turned ugly for a second, man. I ain't gonna even lie, man. Man, cease desist orders and all kind of crazy stuff, man. It was some crazy stuff that would happen with that record. But you know what? God wanted that to come out. That's all I can say, man, because it ended up coming out and still doing what, you know what I mean? It still did what it did, man. The single, I think the single went double platinum, and the album went platinum.
I gotta ask you this though, because one of the most memorable parts of that track is that bass line. Who came up with that bass line?
I did.
The
You know what? I was thinking about the big payback from James Brown a little bit, and I just reversed it.
ah
I just reversed it. The big payback when it goes boom, boom.
yeah.
So I went. You know what I mean? I kept going up and
Ah,
down. You know what I mean? Thinking about that, the big payback.
that's when you said it, I instantly heard it. Like, oh, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's what that bass line is like. I was thinking about that, but I was like, I don't want to get sued, so I got to play it different. You know what I mean? So that's why I
Mm,
played it going down, going up, all kinds of crazy stuff, man. You know what I mean? And it ain't in the same key. You know what I mean? So I
hmm
was like, what if I was like, what if I try this bass line on this, man? I wonder what it sound like. And then it
hmm
ended up sounding pretty good, man. So we just left it alone, man. You know what I mean? And that's how that record came too, man. And that's another one, man. We didn't think that was gonna do that. You know what I mean? But it did. You
Dang,
know,
nah,
you
that.
know, it's crazy, man. You just can't, you can't predict this stuff, man. You know what I mean? You can't predict it, man. You can't. You can
Hey,
only think. You think some records that you're gonna do. Sometimes you be like, oh yeah, this gonna do it. It's gonna do it, and then it don't do nothing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But then the ones you don't be thinking about, like you do it, and then you go to the next record. and then all of a sudden that be the first single, and then it blow up. You like, and it trip you out because you like, I wasn't even thinking that I was gonna do that, man. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like all these records we talking about, man. I did not think I really didn't think they was gonna do anything, man. And they did, and they did what they did, man. Like I really, like I'm talking like not one of them. Missing You, Slow Down, because we wrote Slow Down thinking about Melrose, so Melrose is a landmark for California.
Yeah.
So we didn't think that was gonna go number one. You know what I mean? And then it went number one for 2 months, man. So
now I remember
like
that came out. That came out when I was in the 6th grade. And that shit, you know, I'm from Atlanta, so that shit was crazy.
Hey man, you know what? I just did it, man. I just did the beat. Bob played the guitar on it, and then we wrote it. You know what I mean? And then
how long it took y'all to write that one?
Again, 15 minutes. Because at first, man, I don't know if you remember a joint called "Can You Touch Me." That was gonna be the first single, and then LL rapped on there. So that was gonna be the first single. So I was like, you know what, man? Let me play this for them and see if they like it. Because I had that sound since I was in Atlanta, when I was in Atlanta. You know what? I actually had that sound, the ethnic sound, in '93, but I didn't have nobody to do it on in my mind. I was like, man, ain't nobody gonna like this stuff, man.
Because y'all created a whole wave with him with that ethnic sound, like.
Because I already had it. I already had a gang of records like that, but I didn't think that nobody was gonna like it, man. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, nobody gonna choose these records, man. So you know what I mean? I was tuning bongos and tuning them down and up and doing all that kind of weird stuff, finding ethnic sounds and messing around with them. But I was like, I mean, this is too different, man. Nobody even gonna want to try this, man. Because back then everybody was trying to sound like Tribe Called Quest and rap stuff. So I was
yeah.
This ain't going really, you know what I mean? But man, when that came out, man, everybody jumped on the remix, man. Nas, Fab, LL, I mean, you name it, man. We was getting remixes every week from somebody, man.
Man,
I just
remember hearing that, and I'm like, man, my drum machine ain't making this. My keyboard, because it was so cinematic though. Like it was it was ethnic, but it was smooth. It was like, man, what was you digging for these samples at though?
Let me see. I don't know, just I had a gang of ethnic CDs and albums and stuff like that, from buying a gang of albums. So what I would do is when I hear something, I'll be like, dang, that'll be dope. But then I'll do it and I'll be like, but who gonna do it though? You know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna like it. And then I'll just be like, I'll just put it away, you know what I mean? Go to the next thing. You know what I mean? Go back to some rap song and stuff from Tribe Called Quest or anything, you know what I mean? So I ain't gonna even lie, man. I didn't even think Bobby was gonna like it, man. I just played it and he was like, what's that? I was like, oh, this is something I just messed around with, man. Because we had just went, I think he was with me when I went to go see, because I got it from Hero, which, by the way, they sued me on that too, dog. Man, I was madder than the mother. They was like, yeah, you put the front in the back and you put the back in the middle. And, they do everything I did. You tuned it down. It goes 97 BPMs and all this stuff. I was like, dang, they got me, man. And then the lawyer called up, and he was like, he said, I asked you, was some samples in there, man? Because when he asked me, I was like, nah, man. Because in my mind, I was like, they ain't gonna catch this, man. Because I tuned it up, and then I chopped it up so crazy, man. I was like, nah, they ain't gonna get it on Tell Me and this one, man. I was like, because I chopped it up too many times, man. Hey, especially on Tell Me, man. I chopped that up like real crazy.
Listen, I'm gonna just go on and tell you this. That Tell Me beat, first off, that shit's like a summer anthem. Like it ain't summertime till I hear that motherfucker. And then second, I done tried to remake that Tell Me. I done used my 3000. I done used my ASR. Cause I was just trying to see like, what did you do?
Right.
Like, yeah, you chopped that thing because it got that lag. that lag with that sample, like I was like, oh yeah, he was souffling that thing or what have you.
Hey man, you know what? I was in my bag, man. But you know, like I said, man, after I finished, man, I went back to that question again. I was like, who gonna do it? You know what I'm saying? I was like, go to the next thing, because ain't nobody gonna like this, man. You know what I mean?
Really?
I was like, no lie, man. I was like, I like it, but ain't nobody gonna, I don't think nobody gonna like it. So I didn't show nobody. I didn't show nobody none of them songs for a long time, dog. I would show every now and then. I would show Bob, you know what I mean? But Bob would be like, dang, that sounds dope, man. But like, you know what I mean? We're going to find an Asian artist or something like that. I was like, I know, man. I said, because they too Asian sounded. So I was like, yeah, okay, let me just put this in the bag and, you know, wait.
That's just crazy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. You know what? You know what, man? I'm going to tell you, when I did the beat, I was trying to make it sound like a marching band, like, I was like, what would a marching Asian band be doing on this? And I was trying to make it feel like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was thinking like a marching Asian band. Like, what would they do on this?
Yeah.
So that's what made me go. That's why I was doing that right there. You know what I mean? Like that syncopation like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I was thinking like a marching band. But then when I was done, I was like, ain't nobody gonna like this, man. You might think I'm kidding, man, but I'm dead serious. When I was like, man, but who gonna do it? Who gonna do something? Who gonna do something like this, man?
Gotcha.
But then, you know, Bobby was our artist, man, so we was able to, you know, experiment. So I was like, you know what, man, maybe Bobby can do it. And then Lil Wayne was hot too back then.
Yeah, fish grease hot at that time.
He was crazy hot, man. So we asked Lil Wayne to be on it, and he listened to, and then he heard the record. He was like, "Oh man, I gotta be on this." You know, Bobby, our artist, man, we could do whatever we want. We could try whatever we want on it, man. So gave that a shot, man. You know what I mean? Then me and Bob wrote that in about like 10 minutes, man. We wrote it in 10 minutes, dog. Bob came up with "Say Baby, What's Your Story," and then I came up with the hook and the pre-chorus. Girl, what's your name? Da, da. And then I came up with when the girls start rap. That's actually my niece, man. That's doing a rap on the first one.
On the first one, yeah.
Yeah. So
the one on the album ain't got Lil Wayne, right?
Right.
And that's the girl rapping. Yeah, ooh, boy, staring at me.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wrote that real quick, and then she did it. She did that real quick, and then we did it. I mixed it, man, and then I was like, you know, I hope Luda like it, man. Then Luda heard it and was like, damn, man. Because what happened is we ended up doing a deal, because we had a label deal at Def Jam, but Lior was leaving and LA was coming in. So we left with Lior, but LA was like, hey, man, I need those two. He said, man, I need those records, man. So we ended up doing a deal with Luda, because Luda and them stayed over there. They didn't leave anywhere. So we just did a quick deal with Luda and them, and then they just made us executive producer over the album. So that's how that happened.
Hey, speaking of that album, a sneaky record on that Touch Me, that
yeah.
Oh,
hey dog, that's another one, man. You know what, dog?
Yeah.
You know what? I wrote that one by myself, man. You know how I wrote that one by myself, man? I did. So both Bobs, they went to sleep in the conference room, right? So when they went to sleep, man, I was wide awake because we had just did One Girl to Love.
Okay.
So they went in the conference room, ate, and fell asleep. So when they fell asleep, I started doing a track to Can You Touch Me, right? And then I just wrote it in 10 minutes real quick. And I woke Bobby up, and I said, Bobby, come in here real quick. And Bobby came in, and then I just produced it. He just went in the booth. I just did it like 15 minutes, just messing around, man. It's crazy, man.
Let me ask you this question: How important is it to be like a producer that can write songs?
I think, man, it's not so much as important as it is a quality to have, because when you make the beat, because when I'm making the beats, you know what I mean, like when I'm doing the beat, or when I'm doing the guitar, and when I'm doing the bass, I can think of where the hooks and the melody should land. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about that while I'm making it. So I'm like, dang, if I do a hook like da da, so I'm thinking about where the kick and the snare is, where the bass at, so I can make the melody and the whoever's singing it, so they can use they can be an instrument too. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier when you know how to write, because you be thinking about that. You be thinking about, dang, they need to land right here. They need to start right here. They need to do this right here. So you're thinking about that when you producing it, as opposed to you just giving a record to somebody and they don't know what you was thinking about when you was making it. They just writing anything on it. You know what I mean? Even if you got the melody, like if you think about "Can You Touch Me," the melody even doing it. I got that from Jam and Lewis. They go
those nice girl. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was thinking about the melody. I was like, you know what? If he's singing like this, he's not really stepping on nothing, man. You know what I mean? So you're gonna be able to hear the instruments really good, because he's gonna be like another instrument, man. You know what I mean? Instead of me just writing anything on it, he could fall right here, land
in
right
pocket,
here.
yeah,
Pocket,
yeah. That's
so
smooth.
I guess that it's more of a quality to have than, you know what I mean? It's also what you said too, man. It's like it's important it's important if you can do it, but it ain't really necessary, because it's some dope writers too. It's just I just happen to know how to write and produce. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought I learned that way. That's how I learned. You know what I mean? That's how I learned how to produce, when I was learning how to write. You know what I mean? So that's how I ended up like this, man. You know what I mean? Writing my records, because I thought that's the only way you could go into business, is you had to write your stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up being a writer, man.
Yeah. That's true.
So yeah, man. So that's how all those records, man, ended up, man, doing what they doing, man. Like, not stepping on each other, because I started learning how to, okay, the melody need to be like this. What the hook need to be like this, stopping right here, going right here, going up and down right here, and doing that. And then it won't be stepping on the melody, you know what I mean, too much. So if you go back and listen to all my records, man, like all of the records is doing that. They following something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I always say he who knows the rules can break the rules.
Exactly.
So because you know the rule, because music has a structure, like progression, harmony, melody, counter melody, rhythm section, like bass and all that. But once you know the formula, then you can like experiment and do stuff, because you still know the gist and the direction of how stuff.
Exactly. You got a major point there. You got a major point, man, when you said that, man. That's really important, man. When you're producing a record, man, because like I said, like a lot of writers, man, they just write over. Sometimes they write over the melody, man. You're like, dang, I put that melody in there so you can follow that.
Yeah, yes. Call and response. It's a call and response. Yeah.
Right. You ain't even writing with that. You just writing over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, dang, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I gotta end up taking the melody out, because now it's junking up the record now, man. Now I can't. It ain't pausing and stopping and doing where I need to be doing. So that's why a lot of records now is they just going, man. It ain't even no melody in there, man. You know what I mean? It's just going with a beat, man.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Just a whole bunch of run-on sentences and a whole.
It's great, man. You know what? It's all over the place right now.
Yeah.
We gotta get this. You know what I mean? We gotta take this by the horns and bring it back, man.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? So next year gonna be the year, man. I really think, how everybody's saying, man, R&B ain't dead. I'm bring R&B back and all that. I ain't saying that. I ain't gonna say that I'm gonna bring it back. I'm just saying I'm gonna really help it out a lot. Put it that way.
You gonna play your part.
Yeah.
You gonna play your part.
I'm gonna be the quarterback. I'm gonna be the quarterback of this thing, and you wide open, I'm throwing it to you. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna really, really do my part, man. I got a lot of stuff coming out next year. You know what? I'm doing Case album beginning of January 3rd. We're gonna start.
That's hard.
Yeah. So I'm doing his album. I'm doing about to do Donald Jones. About to do let me
Donald
see.
Jones hard, man.
A lot of legendary artists and then a lot of brand new artists too. You know what I mean?
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
yeah, man, this gonna be a real interesting. It's gonna be a good year, man.
Gotcha.
Looking forward to it.
Last record that I really want to dive into and talk to you about. It's one of my personal favorites because I'm a big fan of the Isleys. I think it's my mom's fault. She put me on to them. And
Yeah.
before my last spot burned down, like I had like her Isley albums that she had growing up on vinyl or what have you. So that was dope. But that Pretty Woman record,
Yeah.
like man, what once again, it's an Asian sample when it first come on,
Right.
or what have you. And what's crazy is because of the sample, I knew y'all had made it because I was like, ain't nobody digging like this, or what have you. But
Hey
like,
man, you know what, man? I'm gonna go and say it, man, because they ain't gonna know, man. I actually got that from that's an Indian sample from a certain movie. I ain't gonna say the movie because then they gonna know. They gonna.
hey, you got to put me on your movies, man, because my movies don't be having music like where you be.
I found that from an Indian movie, man, because I was watching the movie and I was like, dang, if I mess with that part. So what I did was I found the soundtrack to it because in the movie when that part came on, they was talking over it. So I was like, stems wasn't out back then, so I couldn't take the the talking out of it. So I found the sound. I dug for the soundtrack. I got it. I actually found it in Canada, dog. Believe it or not, Canada. Man, man, they got the craziest stuff, man. You had to go there when you find albums, man. I used to just get a stack of albums and just send them back to the crib, man. You know what I mean? Dang. But anyway, I ended up finding where that sample came from, and I sampled it, man. I sampled it from that part of that movie. Yeah. But you know what it is, man. I was just trying to give something different because I was like, you know what, man? Like they got R&B on lock, man. Because man, we was born on one of their records, man. Me and you, man. We had to be born on one of their records, man, because they was like the slow joint kings, man. I mean, man, they had the bedroom records down. I mean, to a science, man. And Ron, so I was just trying to come up with something different to kind of make their landscape a little different, man. And then when I played it, man, Ron was like, "Dang, what's that, Tim?" And I was like, "I don't know, just something that I made, man." But I didn't think he was gonna really say he wanted to do it. So I was about to go to the next record, and he was like, "Wait a minute, man, what you got for it?" So I didn't even have nothing. I just came up with something on the spot. The way you moving on your phone, I'm thinking. So I just came up with it right there when he said, "What you got for it?" Yeah, I just came up with it right there, so I ain't want to think that I didn't write nothing to it. So
yeah.
So I just came up with the hook real quick, and then Bob came up with that melody.
Yeah. And is that Ernie shredding on there?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, yeah. It is, man. Do you know? Hey, man. Do you know, man? Ernie said, "Hey, man, just press play."
I was just gonna say, is that a one take?
It's a one take. I pressed play at the beginning, dog. Do you know Do you know, man? He soloed through the whole record because really the record is like 6 minutes long. I had to shorten it when to get it on the album, but he soloed for 6 minutes. He didn't do the same thing twice through the whole record, man. He just said press play. He found a sound, and then he just took off, man. We was tripped when we was like, man, because me and Bob know how to solo and we know how to play, but man, when he started soloing and doing all that, we was like, man, we ain't messing with that, man. He already did his thing, man. You know what I mean? That because we had worked on the Isley Brothers album before
Body Kiss.
Yeah, exactly. So we worked on that album, and we kept telling Ron, we was like, man, we would love for Ernie to get on it, man. He was like, all right, let me tell him, man. So he came down from St. Louis and he got on it, man. So he was like, hey, man, you know what, man? He said, man, thanks, man, because R. Kelley wouldn't let me get on none of the records for some reason, man. So he's like, man, I appreciate, man, y'all requested me. I was like, nah, man, we love you, man, and we love them songs that you doing on them, man. Because
Yeah.
he came up with Between the Sheets and all that stuff. He did. Ernie did.
Yeah.
Ernie was man, dog. Ernie was.
Then he wrote Atlantis, right?
Exactly.
He wrote it. Yeah. Hey man, I told you, I'm hip on them, man.
Yeah. Groove with you.
Yeah.
That if you ever wanna need someone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm forever wanna be the only one in your life. You know that record? He did that.
Yeah.
Hey man, Ernie was dope, man. I'm telling you, man, that was a bad dude, man.
Yeah.
And he know how to read music real good too.
Oh yeah,
like on about like three or four different instruments because he went to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's dope, man.
Yeah, nah, man. But
man.
that record cold, especially when they go to that baby, baby, I need your body.
Oh,
And he
I
killing it.
Yeah.
He
I came
killing.
up with that. I came up with that part.
Ooh.
Because I wanted to start on with the kick and the snare.
Mm-hmm.
You notice, man, baby and body. So baby start where the kick is, body in on the snare. Like, baby, baby, I need that body. It's that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So back to what you were saying is like, why is it so important that you write this stuff? Is because I was thinking about that when I was coming up with it. I was like, it need to start right here and land on. It need to land on this and end landing on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's gonna be grooving if it do that. You know what I mean? It's like everybody gonna remember them parts, man. So it's like that's why, man. I think LA was up there too. Yeah, he was, man, because Tata came down. That's when Jay-Z was the vice president, and he had Tata come in there, and then Tata came down. Yeah, and he was there while we was doing the records. So I was taking him to his hotel room every night.
Yeah, nah, that was a bop. That was a bop.
Yeah, man, that was pretty good, man. You know what I mean? I was like, man, if it put I ain't gonna even lie. Those two records, I was like, okay, if one of these two records get out here, I think it's gonna do something. But they neither one of them was singles. I was like, dang, man. Oh, really? Hey, now it's a lot about records, man. I'll be like, okay, they might not do anything, man, if this come out. You know what I mean? Because they're so different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, okay, one of these come out, man, it's gonna do something, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was on the back of a single or what. But LA never told us it was gonna be a single, so I don't think that neither one came out as a single.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it did what it did.
Nah, that's still was cold though. Still was cold. Yeah, so fast forward, you and Bob break up, and you go out on your own, or what have you?
Yeah.
What made the breakup happen?
You know what? It's just that I guess Bob, he kind of wanted to go off on his own and try to do some stuff on his own, because by then everything transferred to it went digital, so everything was using DAWs like Ableton, Logic, all that stuff. So he started he the one that taught me Ableton, believe it or not. So Bob was like, you know what, man, I want to try some stuff on my own, man. So you know what I mean? So that's what I knew of, was kind of like the beginning of the end when he said that. So so when he went on and did his own thing, I was like, all right, you need me. Anytime you need me, holler, man. So he never called me, man. You know what I mean? And then I ended up being president at SRG label.
Yeah.
So I did Sean album, I did Bobby album, I got Bobby signed up there. I did Devon, Raheem Devon. I did Brian McKnight. Take 6, man. I did a gang of stuff, man.
Yeah.
A lot of them records were number one on Heart and Soul, but nobody even know. It was crazy, man. A lot of people didn't even know they was out, because he didn't do a lot of marketing promotion back then. Because he was kind of brand new, and he was trying to figure everything out. They rolling now, you know what I mean? But I got my own label. I'm doing my own thing now.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? We're going to have to do a part 2 so I can tell you everything, man.
Oh yeah. No facts. We're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have, because it's a lot of stuff, man. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a part 2.
Part two gonna be me telling you where the label at and who I got signed, all that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna trip you out, man. You're gonna be like, what? You got such and such time, man. How'd you do that? Hey,
Gotcha.
yo, man. Hey, when you hear some of these records, man, I'm gonna send you some of them too. When you
Okay.
hear them, man, you're gonna be like, "Oh my goodness, man!"
Okay. Most definitely. Most definitely.
It's me experimenting too, man. I got Asian records going in instead of 4/4 time, 3/4 like a
434.
waltz. Yeah, man.
Mm,
Crazy joints, man.
mm,
Woo!
that's
I
hard.
can't I can't wait till these come out, man.
That's hard.
Yeah. So we
That-
gotta do a part two, man. So we
yeah.
can talk about that. You let
Nah.
me know. You let me know, man. I come on in until you
I,
want me to.
well, I told you I'm coming out to LA for now or whatever. So I'm gonna see what my
Okay.
schedule look like or whatever, and try to put something together
Let's do it.
or what have you. What?
Let's do it.
Two more questions, and then I'm gonna let you slide.
Come on,
Like,
let's go.
I don't wanna hold you up. If you could give any advice to like any up and coming producers or what have you, what advice would you give them?
Number one, I would say learn your craft, man. Don't be like one of these producers, man, that just like get a gang of cats that's your friends, man, that you know that know how to play an instrument, but you don't. And then they play the record and interpolate it the way they hear it instead of you hearing it. You know what I mean? Because it ain't really coming from you. You know what I mean? So learn your craft, number one. And then number two, go back and find out where all this stuff came from, man. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we talking about the Isley Brothers, man. These cats, man, these new producers probably don't even know who they are. You know what I
Nah, they
mean?
don't.
Don't
They
even know that they're the one that started all this stuff, man. Like the Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire, the
don't.
Barcades, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Tower Power, let me see what we can go on and on, man. Like it's so much history to R&B, man. Go back and figure out why it's sounding like it is right now.
Mhm.
So maybe you can go back, and get something off these records, man. That like Gambling Hub, Jam and Lewis old stuff, Ella and
Mhm.
Babyface old stuff. Cause it was some dope joints they was doing back in the day, man. Go back and dig, man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then you can even figure out where they got it from. If you go back far enough, you know what
Yep.
I mean? So that's what I would say, man. It's like learn the craft, man. Like if you want to get it, if I was you want to get into it, really, really learn what this is, man, and why it is. And the why is in the digging, man. You gotta listen to some records, man. Like put an album on, man, and chill, man, and really, really like,
Soak it
dang, be
in.
like, yeah, be like, dang,
Mhm.
this chord go with this bass line, man. If I try this, man, and this and that. This is a lot of stuff you can get, man, from just listening, man. You know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
would say I would say them two things right there, man.
Yep.
You know what I
And the,
mean?
yep. And the last thing that we always do is because I'm a big fan of sports. We do something called 2 minute drill where I ask like 5 questions and it's
Okay.
rapid fast. It's either or, like it's no in between. Like you gotta pick one or the
Okay.
other.
Let's go.
Pull it up. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Analog or digital?
Analog.
Best MPC.
MPC.
Which MPC? Which MPC is the best MPC in your opinion?
3000.
Like that. Ableton or Logic?
Ableton.
Melodyne or Auto Tune?
Auto tune.
Ernie Isley or Jimi Hendrix?
Dang. And because Jimi Hendrix is in the band, I have to say,
Hmm.
but I would have to say Jimi Hendrix, man.
Okay.
I mean, just because of I mean, you are we already know, man. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's just legendary, man.
Yeah.
He legendary. The music that he was doing, man, it was just groundbreaking, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But go
Yeah.
ahead.
Last one. Bobby Valentino, Tell Me or Slow Down?
I have to say, probably Tell Me, man. I like
Okay.
Tell Me better. Even though Slow Down did better because they marketed and promoted it more, but I
Hmm.
like the beat to Tell Me better. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yep.
So with both of them records, it's pieces that I like better than others. It's like I'll say, dang, I like this verse better than this. I like this beat better than this one. I like this better than, you know what I mean? But both of them in my eyes is pretty dope. But overall, Tell Me probably, man, because I really went in my bag in that one, man. I
Yeah.
really did, man. I wouldn't buy, but I wouldn't my bag. I actually took my time and was really thinking it out instead of just like going. Like on Slow Down, I just threw it together. You know what I mean? I just threw it together and then put it to the side. With Slow Down, I actually thought for a second. I was like, oh, you know what? Let me play the sample by itself when it first come in, and then I'm gonna chop it up. You know what I mean? And then let it do what it do. You know what I mean? So I'll probably have to say, tell me, man. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Tim, man, I greatly appreciate you tapping in with me, man. Let me pick your brain on some of these records and just going back down memory lane with your history.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks,
They say
man. I
I wanted to
appreciate
give
it,
you
man.
your flowers, man, and let you know, man, you're well appreciated. And I'm one of your students, man. And I remember watching you on YouTube. You ain't had that many videos, but like when you got your open lab joint on there, all that good stuff. Like
it's crazy.
I've been tapped. Yeah, man.
Yeah, we had an open lab keyboard. Matter of fact, I came up with the DB. Yeah, I got 2 of them still right now to this day.
Yeah.
Yep, I need to get the motherboards fixed on them, man. But they hit hard, dog.
Yeah.
They hit real hard, man. So I'm gonna have to see about getting them fixed, man. That's crazy that you. I'm glad you said that, man, because now I know it's a cat that I know, man, that helped me make them. So he got a lot of the motherboards, man, in his garage, man. So I'm gonna have him put the motherboards in there, man, so I can rock them, man. You know what I mean? Because they bump, man. God.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I'm glad you said something about that, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But I appreciate you, man. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Tim Kelley.